everyone. Welcome. Thank you. Oh, thank you. That's a good idea. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for helping with that. Well, first of all, welcome. Nuestra casa is your casa. That sounds weird, but you understand the idea in Spanish. So thank you so much for coming today. This is our way to celebrate Latin Heritage Month. And I say our way because EY is hosting the event, but this is an effort that is combining together different Latin American associations, Hispanotech, LPMN, Alpha, mainly having working together on making this happen. And the reason behind having all these organizations working together is precisely the spirit of collaboration. We are convinced of the power that we can have as Latinos by working together. And this is one of the examples that we want to share and demonstrate by doing that. Feel free to get closer. There's a lot of space. So, and I don't bite. I am hungry, but I don't bite. What's the agenda for the day? We are going to start with a panel that will come after we formally go through the land acknowledgement. Then after the panel, we will have a nice performance that includes music and dancing. So be patient, the panel is interesting. I know that the music is exciting, but the panel will go first. And then after that, we will have some closing remarks and we will have some time to do networking and just to get to know each other better. So thank you for that. So just to formally kick this off, let me just go through our land acknowledgement. As we gather here today to celebrate and reflect upon Latin Heritage Month, we begin by acknowledging the unceded lands we are celebrating in, what is called Trono, but what was called Crarono. This is part of Treaty 13, the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people who have been here since time immemorial. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all indigenous peoples who maintain their connection to these lands. Latinidad is a mosaic of cultures, each with its own unique history, language, and traditions. It is a tapestry woven from the threads of indigenous, African, European, and Asian heritage, reflecting a rich diversity that defies a singular narrative. As we celebrate the vibrancy of Latin heritage, we also recognize the deep connections between the lands of Latin America and the indigenous peoples and cultures that have thrived upon them. In honoring Latin heritage, we must also acknowledge the painful history of colonization, which has impacted indigenous lands and cultures. We stand in solidarity with the ongoing struggles of indigenous communities throughout the Americas as they continue to fight for their rights, their lands, and the preservation of their cultures. As we engage in discussions and celebrations during this evening, let us do so with a spirit of gratitude and respect for the land and the diverse cultures that it sustains. Thank you so much, and welcome again. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Carlos Chalico. I am a cybersecurity and privacy professional. I am a partner with EY. And in addition to working for EY, I am also an active member of the Latin community. I am connected to different Latin American associations and have the privilege and honor of leading the Association of Latin Professionals of America, Alpha, in Canada. And as I said before, these many associations are working together for making this event a reality. We have a panel. And the panel is going to be moderated by Alejandro Escalante. Alejandro is a colleague working in consulting for Deloitte. Thank you so much for coming today. And he's also a very active member of the Latin community, supporting mainly the Latin Project Management Network, LPMN. Citlali, she's with Hispanotech, and she has been key, of course, in organization of these. And there's more names that we will try to call as the night is going on. But Citlali, who are our panelists tonight?
Thank you, Carlos, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Our panelists are super interesting, amazing people. You will enjoy this. We have first, and if you can come to take your seat, please, is Alain Pescador. Then we have Elvira Sanchez de Malicki. We also have Maruan Haidar. We have, of course, Carlos Chalico and Alejandro, our moderator. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, so first and foremost, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I know Citlali made a really good introduction of our speakers, but I would like them to personally talk about a little about themselves. So we'll start off with Elvira.
Bueno, es un placer estar aquí con todos ustedes. Me siento muy honrada de haber sido invitada. Yo me considero quizás la abuelita de todos ustedes porque llegué a Canadá en 1966, un año antes del 100 aniversario de Confederación de Canadá. Y he tenido una vida increíble. Oh, in English. Sorry. All right.
It's custom that we start off with some Spanish words.
Oh,
But
I know. You like my voice, and so you wanted me to say it in English. All right. So basically, I was saying, I think I'm one of the oldest Hispanic citizens here in Canada. I arrived here in 1966 when I was 14 years old. And 66 was the year before the 100th anniversary of the Confederation of Canada.
Wow.
So I have had the opportunities to see our community grow from almost very few people to this incredible number of fantastic people. And well, I've done a little bit of everything, so I don't know how much you want me to say.
Anything you want to say?
Okay, so I've had the opportunity to work on television for more than 20 years, Hispanic television. I had a theater company for about 10 years. I have served in different organizations like Telefilm Canada, the Health Professions Appeal and Review Board, Harbourfront Center, the Councils of Multiculturalism and Citizenship for Ontario and Canada. I've worked with the law firm since 1969.
Wow.
So yes, a long trajectory, but most of what I have done is dedicate my life to trying to work with our community. That has been my passion and my privilege.
Thank you so much for that. I guess we'll go with Alain.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alain Pescador. I'm originally from Mexico. Came to Canada 20 years ago for university. Decided to stay. Lived on and off for about the last 20 years here in Toronto, but elsewhere. Currently, I'm in executive search. I'm in executive recruitment, working with private sector clients, but also with the clients that brings me the most passion, and those are social impact organizations like Hispanotech and others. Come from the intersection of working in the not-for-profit world and politics, both here in Canada and in Mexico as well. And it's a pleasure to be with all of you.
Hey, Maruan, you're so eager to go.
Oh my goodness, I don't know if I could fill up those shoes, but anyhow, my name is Maruan Haidar. I came back in Quebec in Canada in 1982, 28 August. I came as a student, like many of you guys, and then I decided to stay as well. And then since then, it's been a beautiful journey here in Canada. I love this country. I'm originally from Venezuela, and I'm an outdoor person. I work for technology teams for technology industry since day one. I joined the workforce. My background is aerospace and defense. I started there and working in Seattle, Washington for many years. Come over here to Canada, and then I started in the financial industry, because my wife told me to stop traveling or we divorce. And so I said, okay, that's fine. So joined Scotiabank, 17 years. And then now 17 years after that, I'm working for IGM Financials. I also work for Deloitte and work for PricewaterhouseCoopers. So I've been doing a little bit of everything. And then I'm an Agile coach. So I'm applying everything that I learned on the technology. They're now working with executives on how do I bring agility to the executive level, because normally I stay at the team level. Never goes up beyond that. So now working from the top to the down. That's me.
Carlos.
Well, I'm Carlos Chalico. Thank you so much for the space, and thank you so much for being here. I think that the only thing I want to add, because I have already introduced myself, is if you have a look at the screens that are in the room, you will see a transcription of our land acknowledgement that was beautifully written by this lady here, Bint SSA. and that is making a connection between First Nations, Indigenous communities in Canada and First Nations all across America, which I think is amazing. Something we have done as well in that carousel that you will be seeing is that we have included the names of different organizations that are present here today and some that couldn't make it. And of course, the fact that we are missing some does not mean that they are not relevant or that we don't care. We simply didn't, we let them go for whatever reason. It was just a mistake. So what I want to say is that if there's any association, Latin American association, that you think we have to be including and inviting and helping be part of this community that we have for whatever reason not included in this exercise, just let us know. And thank you again, Alex, for helping us with this.
My pleasure. And thank you all for coming. And thank you for making me feel like a baby, even though I'm 35 years old. I know you have a very long trajectory. I feel like I'm with heavy hitters in this room, and thank you so much for bringing that experience today. So as successful professionals, I think there's three main factors that you would like to highlight that contributed for you or to you in your success. And we'll start off with Carlos.
So three factors. Overcoming my insecurity with language. I think that was the very first one. I remember it was the then president of LPMN, Alicia Gutierrez, who helped me find the strength and the conviction of accepting my accent and embracing it and overcoming that fear that I had. I think that's the very first one. Another challenge I found was the imposter syndrome, which I think is pretty common when we come to the country. And it just took me some time to identify that those fears I had were just things that I needed to let go and put behind. And the third one is the spirit of collaboration. I think that since before moving to Canada, I have always been a believer on teamwork and the value that we can bring together. And I think that when I came to Canada, and specifically when I came to EY and I had the chance of getting the firm support to start doing more for the Latin American community, I was always convinced of not doing this by myself, but working with others that have even more experience than what I have.
Awesome. Maruan, you're up.
Well, I'm gonna think about it. One thing that I learned is be versatile and be adaptable. I mean, Bruce Lee used to say, be like water. If you're a cup, be like cup. If you're a bottle, be like bottle. I think that's a key element to succeed in life. You don't need to wait to people to tell you what to be. You can be that. So be versatile, be adaptable wherever you go. That brings a lot of value to your persona as a professional, because if you cannot do it, well, you learn and do it. So take the guts to be versatile and learn from that. That takes me to my second point, is to constantly learn. I mean, in this new area of technology, that every day something comes new. Hey, don't be left behind. It's up to you to learn what is out there. Nobody will put it in front of you. You have to seek it and get it and learn it. Because again, you're gonna add value to your professional and to as a persona. And a third thing, and I was debating on this too, because I do have a fourth thing, but let's keep it with third, is just make sure you leave a legacy, help other peoples, because the best way for you to say that you are, when you get to reach a level of your life where you're getting about to retire, say, well, did I plant a tree? Did I make other people happy? Did I make other people professionally commanded their life? Did I help other people to succeed in their life? That is the key component, I think, as a person to succeed, and to say, by the time I'm leaving this earth, I could see I leave something that I was really impactful to other people in a good way. So that's it.
Thank you for that. Elvira, enlighten us.
Okay. For me, it's to believe in possibilities. I'll go back and tell you that I came here in 1966, 14 years old, did not speak any English. I was first in Calgary, then I came to Ontario, and by 1968, that was just a few years later, I was elected president of the Student Council. And when I graduated in 1969 from high school, I received the Governor General's Award of Merit for the work I had done as president of the Student Council. That made me believe and realize that we are in Canada. Canada is the land that its first three letters spells out what we are. C-A-N, can. We live in the land of yes, you can. And so I have just sort of throw myself into doing whatever came to my mind. And I always felt very successful, because I guess that takes me to the second part, and that is believing in people and getting them to buy into your dream and getting them to go along with what you're doing and empowering them. And so this is why I've had the opportunity to work with many different people in many different organizations, and organizations that have lasted. For example, the Canadian Hispanic Congress was founded in 1983. That's over 40 years ago, and the organization is still alive. And right now, we are developing the Canadian Hispanic Latin American Virtual Museum, a museum in which you're all invited to participate, because we want to showcase the contributions of all Hispanic Latin Americans in Canada. And if you want me to say a third one, I mean, be resilient. Resilient because you start with some great ideas, you have some ups, some downs, but in the end, it just seems that the passion for life is what makes it. And maybe there is one more thing, and that is, I firmly believe that happiness is in giving and doing things for others without ever expecting anything in return, the true sense of altruism. And that is the true joy, because that is very contagious. And everybody that feels that they can participate is just a share of joy. And that's about it.
Awesome. Last but not least, Alain. Love it. Yeah. Round of applause.
God, everyone's added so much already. I'm not sure if I can come up with three, but maybe I'll try to come up with maybe a decent one or maybe two. But the first thing I should say is I think something that's helped me, that I've seen others sort of use as a tool, is just to not be afraid to make mistakes. I think that when I first arrived here in Canada at 18 to study my undergraduate degree, I was just a foolish young guy and didn't really care about sort of the direction I was taking, didn't really feel like there were any obstacles along the way. And that kind of attitude of being fearless and not being afraid of making mistakes really ignited my growth as a person. Not so much professionally. I think that's just one element of a part of my life. I think it's allowed me to really grow as a human being. That ability to just be fearless and just not be afraid to make mistakes. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I've learned here in Canada is the sense of citizenship there is in the community here. There wasn't much of a value in volunteering and adding value to community the same way that I've experienced it when I first arrived here. And so that was actually something that quite struck me when I first arrived in Canada, how much both Canadians, but also folks that come from other parts of the world were very immersed in wanting to become better citizens in the country and adding value to the country, that have opened up their arms to their families, to their own lives themselves. And so that's something that I would encourage everyone to do, to just become involved in organizations that need your expertise, that need your perspective, and just volunteer, be a better citizen.
Awesome. That's a really good segue. But I want to call out that there's a common thread that I see, and it comes in the shape of being resilient, being versatile, embracing uncertainty, and one of them is actually enjoying or embracing those mistakes that we make. So let's get to the bottom of things now that you brought it up. Because it's rare that we always talk about success, right? We all talk about like how great we are, how much we achieve, when we barely talk about the faults or the pits that we fall in the journey. So I want to talk about screw-ups. And this is me being very Latino, but thing is, I want to understand, now you mentioned it, we'll start off with you, Alain. What's the biggest mistake you made and the one that you learned from the most?
I've made many mistakes, but in the context of tonight, I'm open to be vulnerable with all of you. And I think one mistake that I made earlier in my arrival here in Canada is to exclude myself from my own community by thinking, I've just moved from Mexico, I've just arrived in Canada. Why continue building a community of people that are alike, right? I'm here to meet new people. I'm here to meet a new culture. I'm here to meet more Canadians, which is fine, and I did that. But it took me a little while to realize, not a while, I would say a couple of years actually, it didn't take me very long to understand that there's something very powerful around sharing analogous values with other people. And I tended to see myself being or having a better reflection of myself with those that came from Latin America. And so that was a big mistake that I did initially, to sort of exclude myself from being more involved in building community with people that come from Mexico or other parts of Latin America as well. And so I realized that later on, but that was certainly a mistake I initially made.
Awesome. Maruan, you want to? I'm not skipping, I just want to go
Okay.
very agile here.
I could write a book of how many mistakes I made since I have in Canada. Honestly. But I think I turned that around by there are no mistake. There are capitalization opportunities. I capitalize on those. I learned something. I don't know what, I know what is not working. I know what is working. So what I do is I don't call them mistake. I just call it learning opportunities. I call them a way of sharing that with somebody else. Hey, have you thought about this? Because I went through that and I failed. Maybe my conditions are different at that time. Were different, but maybe yours are different. I don't know, but think about it. So again, we're no mistake per se. I don't call a mistake. I call opportunity to learn. And then, yes, I made a lot of those.
Elvira? Thanks, Maruan.
I guess for me, sometimes I could be a little bit of or I used to be more of a control freak, sort of saying, we need to get this done, and we need to get it done now, and thinking that nobody else can do it, so I had to step in and do it. And then I realized, oh my God, I'm surrounded by incredible people. Yes, they can do it. And so learning how to delegate and say, I am looking forward to what you're going to come up with. And that is really, really exciting.
Awesome. Carlitos?
Thank you. I think that I am somehow connected to these opportunities to learn, and just adding my own volume to the encyclopedia of things to learn from. I would say that my contribution is procrastination. Yeah. I tend to do that many times, and I think that in recent years I have lost people that was close to me. I have lost people I love, close friends. I have seen friends saying goodbye to people that was close to them, and that made me think that life is short, and procrastination is something that we need to remove, because you need to act on things that you want to do as soon as you can in order to enjoy what you do, enjoy what you work on. It's a matter of making things now. I would have loved to start with these things we are doing as a Latin American community before it happened. And just that, just avoiding procrastination, I think is something that I have learned how to do.
Thank you so much. Yes, so I want to go back to the point where we're talking about legacy and the impact that we have in the communities. Of course, like reflecting on the achievements and the legacy that we built through the museum, for example, for Elvira. And just recently, I was looking at this figure. So according to Statistics Canada, 3.3% of the population of Canada now is Hispanic or Latino descent. That's more than the Arabs and the East South Asians combined. Wow, that's 1.1 million people living in Canada. So that must have gone a great impact in the economy, right? So I want you all to reflect on what's the impact that we Latinos have made in the Canadian economy from the time that you came many years ago. I want to say the number. Up until the point where you are here today, how much of that impact has been us in growing the economy of Canada? I think Maruan, since you work at Scotiabank, you can shed some light.
Okay, just raise your hands of people that work in Scotiabank or who used to work in Scotiabank.
I'm a client, does that count?
That count too. That count too. Great school, great company, regardless of what happened lately or whatever is the case. I think I will say, regardless of what you're doing, think broadly in terms of international picture, all right? Because we live in a global village. So you come from South America, which is the second most spoken, Spanish is the second most spoken language in the on the world, if I recall that. I think yes, well, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of Spanish speaking in the world. So try to think on that perspective, like in that international point of view, and then use that skill to say, how can I help my company, the people that I work for, work with, and the economy and the country that I live, and then to leverage that skill set, and then take that company to the next level. For people that are no longer working in such international company like a Scotiabank, I bet you now brought that into whatever you are right now. Like I did, I'm doing it right now. I work for a local company, a Canadian company who has Toronto and Winnipeg. Tell me about how am I gonna I'm gonna use my international experience with that. Well, I'm doing it because I'm dealing with a lot of offshore talents, either Costa Rica, either Bombay, Hyderabad, regardless. So use that sense of being international to leverage that skill into the next level of bringing that economy.
Awesome. Elvira?
Okay, you mentioned a word that is very dear and hated for me at the same time, and that's statistics. I would like to take this opportunity to inform some of the people who might not know that throughout the years, Statistics Canada has reported through its census numbers that reflect half the size of the community we really are. So in 2001, the Canadian Hispanic Congress requested that Statistics Canada retabulates their numbers using the definition of Hispanic of the Canadian Hispanic Congress, which is Hispanic is anyone whose origin or that of their ancestors is from one of the countries that has Spanish as one of its official languages. Lo and behold, they did the retabulation using that criteria, and we doubled. The first time, I think they had said we were about 200,000, and then we were more than 500. Yep. And that has a tremendous impact on us because those numbers are posted, not the retabulated numbers. The original numbers are posted in all of Stats Canada's reports. And that makes us appear as we are a minority within minorities. And that's very hurtful to our community. And it is very important that you understand that. So we have received the retabulated numbers. They are available to all of you if you ever want them, but we have to continue pushing for that. So statistics, very important, be counted, and let's pushing for it.
Every person counts, right?
Yeah. And sorry, and to answer that question is, yes, the Hispanic community, the statistics have proven that our community is younger, more educated, but underemployed, more underemployed than the rest of the Canadian society. So those are very important. Younger, more educated, and yet underemployed. We have to change that. We have to change that by basically helping each other, being very close to each other and being very proud of each of you, because each of you are contributing to Canada. And also, having seen the different waves of immigration, the first migrants that came here were, I would say, economic immigrants, not refugees, economic immigrants. And then we had the people from the political refugees in the 70s, and then we had the Salvadorians and Central Americans, and then we've had the Mexicans, Venezuelans, and Colombians. And we have seen how each wave of immigration has brought in people with higher levels of education. They come much more prepared. But something else that you should know, and I think it's very important. One of the main problems that we have is the fact that it is the federal government that establishes the immigration laws. And because of those immigration laws, they try to bring to Canada the greatest brains, the most qualified people from our countries. Yet when they arrive, accreditation falls to the provinces. And the provinces and the different colleges try to put obstacles for us to be able to advance. So we had recommended a federal provincial task force on the accreditation of professional and technical degrees. And that is something that we should try to get, because that will help us will help you to get accreditation much faster than we have right now.
Awesome. Alain, anything you want to add?
Just very briefly, I mean, of course, we're sitting right at the heart of the financial district here in the city and also around the country. But I would think beyond just the contributions that the Latin American Hispanic community brings to Canada. I think we bring more than just economic contributions. I think we bring a different attitude to doing things. I think we bring different cultures and perspectives. We bring food, we bring music, we bring joy. And I think that's just a much bigger contribution to society than just dollars and money. That's my perspective.
Agree. Carlos, one final thought?
Thank you. I think I will call again for collaboration. I remember that when we triggered Alpha, I had a chance to have a conversation with one of the founders of Ascend, which is this not-for-profit that brings together Pan-Asian people. And one of the founders was saying to me, Carlos, it is important for you to understand that the size of the Latin population is different from the Asian population. But that doesn't mean that you cannot do something that is significant. The thing is that I think you need to be focused on impact more than volume. And I think that's what we are trying to do. I remember one day having a conversation, the three of us together, the three associations, Alpha, LPMN, and Hispanotech, and we were saying, what else can we do as associations in order to help people succeed here? And that conversation, that was something we had in between peers and something to it, ended up in an initiative that we will be announcing shortly, where we are trying to identify among these three associations and having others participating, what is it that we can do to make our Latin American community more attractive for the corporate world to employ them? And how is it that we can work with the corporate world so that they can have more interest when they are looking at Latin American candidates? Just to go in line with what Elvira was saying, we understand that this underemployment situation is something that is impacting our community, and we need to find out how we can put one additional element to make that more effective.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I want to go jump into that, working together, not towards one goal, which is money, but also embracing our culture, right? There's this saying that reads, you can take the Latino out of Latin America, but you cannot take the Latin America out of the Latino. I'm not saying that to be funny, or maybe a little, but one key trait of us as Hispanics, not just Latinos, of course, is that we form strong bonds. We have a sense of community. We are always looking for our people, our gente. And Carlos, you mentioned before that even as a successful professional partner in your firm, you always felt like you always missing something with not being engaged with your community. And that's hence your your search for organizations like LPMN, Hispanotech, and now you brought Alpha to Canada yourself. So I want you to reflect on what are the things that we as organizations representing the LPMN here, but also Hispanotech, that we can do as to work together to really form more strong bonds and grow as a community towards any goal in particular. But most and foremost is just because we are one community. But what would be the things that we can work on as associations or as community? Anyone want to take the first word? Go for it, Maruan. It's free for all now.
I'm new on the pack for the record, right? So I just joined the mentorship program, and then because I got a feed from my Instagrams, like, wow, this is cool, this is great, and then I'm helping my mentee, and then I'm glad to see that I'm glad to let you know that he found a job 2 weeks ago. So it's like, yes. But anyhow, so with that sense, I think things that happen, like a mentorship program, things like this, what is just happening, that you get people to connect to each other, and then to at least, hey, can I get you to Instagram, or can I get you LinkedIn? And then later on have a chat about how can get some feedback, or maybe some type of coaching on what could I do, or leverage other people's experience. I think that what makes this kind of events together. So keep it up, keep doing it, because it's working. So to add something new is about, yes, we could always think about what is next, but whatever it is working. So just keep it up, keep getting good together, those organizations, and working towards the same goal.
Keep it up. Well, I guess, yeah. But anyone who wants to add something? Else, we can go and move on to our beautiful people. have any burning questions that you might want to ask our beautiful panelists?
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful, young and energetic. Any questions from our public? Don't be shy. We're Latinos, Hispanics.
There's one here. Oh,
Doesn't matter.
Well, this is powerful. Thank you first of all, for the invitation. My name is Alain. I'm originally Armenian, came to Canada in 2015. I love what I see here. I wish my community can do this, keep it up, but there is a lot of learning that I will take away. Interesting thing that I'm in Agile community as well. And I love design thinking, innovation workshops. That's what I do. The one question that I have as an immigrant is adaptability. I felt that as well, helped me a lot. This is really a country of opportunities. You take it. How do you not lose the essence? Because that adaptability can take you.
Coffee helped. Coffee in the morning. I'm telling you, you wake up in the morning, get your espresso, and you're like, yes, I got my coffee. Let's move on.
Some guy called Tim Hortons.
I would go more with tequila to make it more Latin American, or pisco. But something that I ended up doing with time, Arev, and I remember having this conversation for the first time with a friend of mine in Mexico. They were saying to me, well, but you left Mexico in 2012. And I said, no, you're getting it wrong. I didn't leave Mexico. I just expanded my area of influence. So it is now that, yes, I live in Canada, but that doesn't mean that I have left the country. I mean, I'm still here and talking to friends and connecting to people. So I think that the value of these type of exercises, organizations like Hispanotech, LPMN, Alpha, and many more, is precisely helping you identify the roots that connect you to where you are coming from and what you're doing. I just want to say it's unfortunate, but just today, the Hispanic Canadian Heritage Council is releasing a documentary that is called The Spanglish Generation, that is precisely exploring that and is trying to analyze how the second generation of immigrants can keep the roots and keep that connection to Latin America and the land that has their story. So I think that just being part of this community and being connected to that makes you understand where you're coming from is something that has been useful for me. And this idea of not leaving Mexico, but expanding in my area of influence has been great for me.
I would like to jump in, if I may. I'll just give you a couple of anecdotes, if I may. The main thing is to be very proud and very happy of being who you are. And some of the anecdotes I'm going to give you is, for example, many years ago, somebody wrote in the Toronto Star an article saying that Canadians should be like Americans, that they go so far as to anglicize their names so that they could fit in within the American society. Well, I wrote to the newspapers and I said, I am a Canadian by choice, not by accident of birth. And I will never become an anglicized Canadian because I am a Hispanic Canadian and very proud of who I am. When my firstborn my husband went to register, this is 1974. My husband went to register him at the government's office, whatever, and he was supposed to be registered as Malicki Sanchez. They told my husband, sorry, you have to read the Names Act of Canada. In Canada, a child can only have the father's last name. So I did read the Names Act. And I wrote to the government, and I wrote to the media, and I wrote to everywhere I could. And I said, according to Canadian law, a child can only bear the father's name, should bear the father's name unless he's a child of out of wedlock. My child happens to have a mother and a father, and this mother insists that the child would have both last names. 1974, I was allowed to give my child the two names that they've kind of said, you have to hyphenate this so there is only one name. And I said, fine. But in 1974, the first hyphenated Canadian name was Malicki Sanchez. In 1984, they changed the law. Now you could give your kid whatever name. But I wasn't going to lose my roots. I wasn't going to lose our traditions. So if you believe in what you're doing and you're passionate about it, and you just don't quiet down, but you speak up, you're able to succeed and accomplish an awful lot.
I think we're off to one more question and just, yeah.
Thank you, Alejandro. My name is Dinesh Sharma. Similar to LPMN, Hispanotech, Alpha, we run another organization also. I would only say 3 things here. The learnings that I got from all of you in less than 15 minutes, I think you taught a 1 year of a course that people will learn in different colleges and universities. So thank you for sharing what all of you shared. The other thing that I want to share it very proudly, very respectfully, seeing this event is great, but guess what? A lot of hard work goes into putting this kind of an events together. So I think we all should be clapping for all these organizers that put together this event. We should be, right? And very importantly, I would say this, I am very proud of my association or my friendship with Hemi, with Carlos, with Citali, with Angela, Alejandro. You would see me at many of your community events. Why? Because as all of you, these people said, at the end of the day, it is not what we do for ourselves, it is what we want to do it for others and build communities is the truly legacy. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Any closing remarks, my amazing people, mi gente? Quickly, just 3 words.
Well, pretty simple. Thanks everyone for coming and have fun. Anything else?
You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Yo, yeah,
Yeah,
you're all doing a great job.
one last thing. I'm hoping, I think there was like over here, if I'm guessing wrong, there's maybe around the 200 people, if I'm not guessing wrong over here, 250. So make sure by the end of tonight or this afternoon, you have a LinkedIn profile, each of you connected to yours, because that will increase a lot of volume in your profile in LinkedIn. So you're gonna get a lot of email from LinkedIn. Wow, your profile looking good, whatever is the case. But anyhow, just connect to each other because that would make a big difference in seeking your professional next journey.
Yeah, that would be hard or easy for Carlos because he knows everyone. And everyone knows Carlos. But I think I would say I'll close it off with thank you so much. I think we have another few items in our agenda. I think more lively things to follow. But again, thank you all for coming. You're all here for a reason. So embrace that, embrace uncertainty, and be resilient as well.
Thank you.